A woman tried to get me kicked out of the community pool on my very first day as the new HOA manager. She had no idea that the guy she was harassing, the one she accused of trespassing and breaking a dozen imaginary rules, was the one person with the power to revoke her pool access for good. She acted like she was the queen of this little kingdom, but she was really trying to banish the guy who'd just been handed the keys to the castle. The whole thing was infuriating and hilarious at the same time, but the look on her face when she finally realized who I was? Absolutely priceless. Section 1, The Setup. To really appreciate the glorious irony here, you need to understand the kind of day I was having. I had just taken a job as the property manager for a big, kind of upscale homeowners association called Willow Creek Estates. Sounds idyllic, doesn't it? Willow Creek. And for the most part, it was. But behind the perfect picket fences of every HOA, there's a machine of bylaws, budgets, and, of course, personalities. My job was to be the mechanic for that machine. My old job was in commercial property management, office buildings, retail space, that sort of thing. That world is all contracts and maximizing profit. It's cut and dried, and honestly, I was burned out. The idea of managing a community, a place where people actually live, felt like a real change of pace. I wanted to help build a community, not just manage a building. Now, Willow Creek had a reputation for being a little particular. The online reviews were split. Half the residents raved about the beautiful amenities and high standards. The other half complained about tyrannical rules and power-tripping neighbors. I figured the truth was somewhere in the middle, and I was pretty sure I could handle it. My first day was absolute chaos. The manager before me, Gerald, had apparently left in a hurry. His idea of a handover was a single, cryptic email with a link to a messy Dropbox folder and the words, "Good luck." His office looked like a man had just given up. Papers were stacked in leaning towers, unlabeled keys were tossed in a drawer, and the office phone's voicemail was full, blinking a desperate little red light. I spent 8 straight hours just trying to figure out which way was up. I was digging through old invoices, trying to decode passive-aggressive email chains about recycling bins, and figuring out which of the 17 keys on a giant ring actually opened the electrical room. My brain was swimming in covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Did you need approval to paint your mailbox beige instead of taupe? Where was the landscaper's contract? Why were there 3 expired bids for resurfacing the pool? It felt like an archaeological dig through years of neglect. By 5 o'clock, my brain was fried and my shoulders were basically touching my ears from stress. Through the window of my stuffy new office, I could see the community pool. It was sparkling. The sun was hitting the water, making it look like an oasis. That was one of the perks of the job, access to all the amenities, and right then, a swim felt less like a perk and more like a medical necessity. I needed to wash the day off, feel weightless for a few minutes, and just reset. I didn't even have my official keycard yet, my credentials wouldn't be in the system until tomorrow. But Gerald's email mentioned a service gate that was always unlocked for maintenance staff. It was my one ticket to paradise. I grabbed a towel, changed into my swim trunks, and headed over. The pool area was gorgeous. Lush plants, comfy-looking lounge chairs, and that clean smell of chlorine. There were only a few other people there, a young couple reading at the far end, and a mom with 2 kids in the shallow section. It was peaceful. Perfect. I picked a chair in a quiet corner, dropped my towel, and was about to dive into that cool, clear water. And that's when I heard it. "Excuse me." The voice was sharp and aimed right at my back. I paused, toes literally inches from the water, and turned around. I was expecting a staff member, or maybe someone telling me I dropped my wallet. Nope. It was a woman, maybe late 50s, with a helmet of blonde hair that looked like it could survive a wind tunnel. She was wearing a floral one-piece with a matching sarong, and her face was pinched with suspicion. Around her neck, on a lanyard, was a laminated copy of the pool rules. I had a sinking feeling this was not going to be the relaxing swim I'd imagined. This was my welcome to Willow Creek. Section 2, The Rising Action. I tried a simple, friendly smile. Sorry, were you talking to me? She marched over, her flip-flops slapping aggressively against the concrete. She stopped a few feet away, put her hands on her hips, and gave me a slow, head-to-toe scan like she was processing a crime scene. Her eyes narrowed. I don't recognize you, she said. It wasn't a question, it was an accusation. Oh, right. I'm new, I said, keeping my voice light. Just moved in. I mean, I hadn't moved into a house, but I was new, and it seemed like the easiest explanation. I could do a formal intro in a community newsletter later. Right now, I just wanted to swim. Her expression didn't change. New. I'm on the welcoming committee, she announced, puffing her chest out. I greet every new resident. I haven't greeted you. Well, pleasure to meet you now, I said, holding out a hand. I'm Mark. She ignored my hand completely. That's irrelevant, she snapped. All residents must have their HOA-issued keycard visible at all times on pool premises. Rule 4A. I don't see your keycard. I glanced down at my swim trunks. Ah, right. It's my first day, I haven't been issued one yet. They're updating the system tomorrow. Just here for a quick swim after unpacking. This was the worst possible thing I could have said. Her eyes lit up with a kind of righteous glee. She'd found what she was looking for. No keycard, she repeated, her voice dripping with scorn. No keycard, no entry. That's our most basic security rule. I get it, I said, trying to stay patient. But I am a resident. I just don't have the plastic card yet. I can give you my address. I don't need your address, she scoffed. I need your keycard. How do I know you're not just some person who wandered in? This is a private facility for paying members only. The way she said person made it sound like I was something you'd scrape off your shoe. My annoyance was starting to build, but I knew from experience that escalating is the worst thing you can do. The key is to be a calm wall of reason. I can assure you, I'm a resident, I said, my smile getting a little tighter. I came through the service gate. The old manager, Gerald, said it's usually open. Mentioning Gerald was another mistake. Her face soured. Gerald, she spat. Gerald was useless. Spineless. He let this community deteriorate. That's why the board got rid of him. It's a miracle the whole neighborhood wasn't overrun with riffraff under his watch. So, not a fan of Gerald. Good to know. And she thought she knew all about the HOA board's business. Interesting. Well, sorry for the confusion, I tried again. I'll have my card next time. For now, if you'll excuse me. I turned back to the water. I will not excuse you, she shrieked, her voice jumping an octave. The couple at the far end of the pool looked up, a mix of annoyed and intrigued. The mom in the shallow end quietly pulled her kids a little closer. You are violating Rule 4A, and you trespassed through a service entrance, a violation of Rule 12C. Unauthorized use of staff access points. She was pointing at me now. I seriously doubted Rule 12C was real, or if it was meant for teenagers, not the new manager. Ma'am, I said, my patience wearing thin. I'm not trespassing. I work for the community. I just want to swim. Work for the community, she sneered. Doing what? Landscaping? Pool cleaning. Because contractors can't use resident amenities. It's in the vendor agreements. I should know, I helped draft them. The arrogance was stunning. She decided she was the welcoming committee, rulebook author, security guard, and now a contract lawyer. I'm not a contractor, I said flatly, done with being friendly. Then what are you, she demanded. You're not a resident, I know, you have no keycard, and you're giving me excuses. This is how decline starts. First one person without a card, next thing you know, it's loud parties and glass bottles. Not on my watch. A debate sparked in my head. Part of me wanted to just tell her who I was and watch her ego crumble. But another, more mischievous part, was fascinated. I wanted to see how far she'd take this. I decided to give her all the rope she needed. Look, I said, affecting a weary tone. I don't want trouble. It's been a long day. Can you make an exception this one time? I'll be out in 15 minutes. That was like throwing gasoline on a fire. She saw it as weakness. An exception, she gasped, clutching her laminated rules. There are no exceptions. Exceptions are how standards die. If I make an exception for you, I have to for everyone. Do you know the precedent that would set? Mid-roll CTA. I mean, can you believe this? I'm just trying to cool off after a nightmare first day, and I've run into the final boss of all HOA Karens. This is the kind of stuff that makes you want to move to a cabin in the woods. If you're enjoying this story and you're dying to see this woman get what's coming to her, do me a favor and hit that like button. And subscribe, because I've got a feeling this new job is going to be a goldmine for stories like this. Alright, back to the pool. Section 2 continued. Honestly, I don't think it would set that much of a precedent, I deadpanned. Her face turned a blotchy red. That's not for you to decide. I've been a homeowner here for 15 years. I've served on 3 committees. I know the president of the HOA board, Richard. Personally. I have his cell number. Do you want me to call him? I'll call Richard right now and have him tell you to leave. This was it. Her ace in the hole. The ultimate power play. The name drop of the board president was supposed to terrify me. You have the board president's number? I asked, feigning shock. Wow. Impressive. It certainly is, she said smugly, mistaking my sarcasm for awe. And I'm not afraid to use it. Now, for the last time, are you leaving, or do I have to have you escorted out? Security will be here in 5 minutes. And they won't be as patient as I've been. The lack of self-awareness was incredible. She'd been patient. She'd been hostile from the first second. I glanced around. The couple was now openly staring. The mom had finally had enough. She gathered her kids and scurried off, giving me a look that was half pity, half glad it's not me. You have been very patient, I agreed, my voice dripping with irony she completely missed. But I don't think you need to bother Richard. I'm sure he's busy. Oh, he is, she said gravely. Very busy. With important matters. Like keeping unauthorized people out of our exclusive facilities. She was already pulling her phone out of a waterproof pouch, tapping furiously at the screen. I just watched her, a weird sense of calm washing over me. The moment I'd been waiting for had arrived. The trap was set, and she had walked right in. I let her find the contact. I let her finger hover over the call button. I wanted her fully committed. You're really going to call him? I asked, one last time. I am, she declared, her thumb pressing down. You've left me no choice. Section 3, the climax and resolution. Just as she hit the button, I held up my hand. That won't be necessary, I said, my voice now calm and carrying a new weight. She paused. And why is that? She sneered. Because Richard, the board president you're calling. He reports on these matters to the management company, I said slowly. And that company has assigned a new property manager to oversee all operations at Willow Creek. Including pool access. A flicker of confusion. She was still trying to connect the dots. So what? She snapped. That manager will hear about this. You'll be the first complaint on his desk. I allowed myself a small smile. The punchline had arrived. "Ma'am, I appreciate your vigilance," I said, the steel in my voice now unmistakable. "But you won't need to file a complaint. You see, the person Richard and the board hired to replace Gerald. The person whose job it is to enforce the rules, the actual rules. You're looking at him. My name is Mark. I'm the new HOA manager. I started this morning. It's a pleasure to finally, formally, meet you." You could literally watch the arrogance drain from her face in stages. First, disbelief. She let out a short, ridiculous laugh. You're the manager. Don't be silly." Then, the horror started to dawn. My calm demeanor, my specific mention of Gerald and Richard, it all started to click. The smirk on her face faltered, then completely collapsed. The angry red was replaced by a sickly pale. Her jaw went slack. The phone in her hand suddenly looked very heavy. You're not," she stammered, her voice a pathetic whisper. "I am," I confirmed. "My office is right over there. First day. And my first official act, it seems, is dealing with a resident harassing someone at the pool." I let that hang in the air. The transformation was incredible. The queen of the community deflated into a flustered, embarrassed woman who looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her. "Oh," she said. A tiny, pathetic sound. "Oh, my. I had no idea. I was just trying to uphold the rules." The backtracking was immediate. The watchdog was now a misunderstood lamb. "I'm sure," I said, my voice cold. "But your passion led you to harass someone instead of following protocol. The protocol is to discreetly contact the management office. Not to appoint yourself judge, jury, and executioner." She winced. "Yes, well, with Gerald. Gerald is gone," I cut her off. "We'll be using my protocols now. Second, threatening to call the board president over a simple pool rule is a massive overstep. The board sets policy, they don't handle day-to-day enforcement. That's my job." She fidgeted with her lanyard, the laminated rules now a badge of shame. I apologize," she mumbled, staring at her feet. "I can be a bit overzealous." "I can see that," I said dryly. "Let's talk about those rules. There is no Rule 12C about staff access points. And you assumed I was a contractor with zero information. Your conduct was inappropriate." I let the silence stretch. The couple was now openly grinning. One gave me a subtle thumbs up. "From now on," I continued, "any concerns you have will be directed to my office. By email. You will not confront residents. You will not threaten them. And you will not invent rules. Is that understood?" She nodded meekly. "Yes. Understood." "Good," I said. "I'll be sending out a community newsletter this week introducing myself and clarifying some policies, including poolside conduct. I trust one won't have to make an example out of you in it." It was a threat, veiled in professionalism, and we both knew it. "No. Of course not," she said quickly. "It won't happen again. Welcome to Willow Creek, by the way." That sad, tacked-on welcome was the cherry on top. "Thank you," I said. "Now, if you don't mind, it's been an exceptionally long day. I'm going for a swim." I didn't wait for a reply. I turned my back on her, walked to the edge of the pool, and dove in. The water was glorious. When I surfaced, she was gone. Scurried away. The couple at the other end raised their books to me in a silent toast. I floated on my back, looking at the sky, and finally breathed. The stress, the frustration, the annoyance, it all just melted away. I had survived day one. I'd met my first Karen. And I'd won. I had a feeling this job was going to be anything but boring. For the first time all day, I actually smiled. Conclusion and CTA. And that was my first day. The fallout was interesting. The next morning, I had an apologetic email from Richard, the board president. Apparently, he'd gotten a frantic voicemail from the woman, Brenda, I learned was her name. Richard assured me I had his full support and that Brenda had been counseled before about her self-appointed patrols. The difference was, this time she tried it on the one person who could actually do something about it. I have to admit, I enjoyed drafting that community newsletter, very politely outlining the rules for resident conduct. I never had another problem with Brenda. She'd practically run away if she saw me coming. And my pool time was always peaceful after that. It just goes to show, you never know who you're talking to. A little kindness goes a long way, and a lot of arrogance can backfire spectacularly. So what do you think? What would you have done? Would you have revealed who you were right away, or let her dig her own hole like I did? And what's the craziest HOA rule you've ever heard of? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story and want more adventures from an HOA manager, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.